Have you heard of Senate Bill number 4227? That is the bill proposed by the Senate to improve disaster loans and emergency advances under the CARES Act. My name is Nick, and this is Mystery of Money, the channel where I talk about relevant financial topics as well as financial concepts that you can apply to everyday life. If it's your first time, welcome. If you get value from this video, I appreciate a like. If you'd like to learn about more financial topics or follow me along on this journey, hit that subscribe button. Now let's get into the video. I want to give a shout out to T, a new subscriber who posted the question over the weekend about could I do a video on S number 4227. So that is my inspiration for doing this video. A little bit of background. When the CARES Act passed, Congress allotted so much money for the initial EIDL loan advance and loan program. Due to the nature of the pandemic, that money was quickly depleted from the accounts. So they went back to Congress, got additional money, more funding, and quickly found out there's still not enough money. So the SBA took it upon themselves to take the money that was allotted by Congress, cut what Congress had allotted to each business. Originally, Congress stated loans up to $2 million, advances up to $10,000 for each business that applied within 3 days of applying. That money will be or shall be, however it was worded, deposited to the bank account. And we all know that never happened. It actually took a lot longer. Some people never received the money, some people are still waiting. Anyway, a couple weeks ago, that money was gone for the grant portion or the advance portion. The head of the SBA testified in front of Congress and said, basically she ran out of money, she had to ration the money without the knowledge of Congress. Fast forward, in this bill that was sponsored by Ms. Rosen, a senator from Nevada, the short title of this bill is, this act may be cited as the Ensuring Increased Disaster Loans for Small Businesses Act, or the EIDL for Small Businesses Act. And then it comes into a bunch of terms and things like that. But the most important part of this bill is the fact that any loans made under this program, originally under the CARES Act and approved, the administrator may determine, so any loan made after December 31st, 2020, or such a later date as the administrator may determine, the administrator shall not impose a maximum loan amount limit that is lower than $2 million. That was the original language in the CARES Act, was $2 million per business, and they changed it, the SBA, and lowered it to $150,000 per business. So that's number one. It also says that if you applied for a loan and say let's say you needed $500,000 and they capped you at $150,000, it says you can now go back and request up to that $2 million, and that you shall not require the applicant to submit additional documentation for the increase. So that's a pretty important part. If you needed more money but you couldn't get it, now you will be once this bill passes. EIDL advances. This was the portion that if you said you needed a loan, they were going to advance you up to $10,000 for the business, and then the loan would be on top of that. Shortly after the program started, the head of the SBA came out and lowered that to $1,000 per employee up to $10,000. Section C states that they're striking the and inserting the following. In general, the, not more than, and by adding the end of the following necessary, the approval necessary. The administrator shall provide to the applicant in advance under the subsection no later than 3 days after the applicant submitted application. And we know that wasn't happening. Under that, additional amount with any recipient of an advance under the subsection before the date enactment of the Ensuring Increased Disaster Loans for Small Business Act of less than $10,000, the administrator shall, no later than 15 days after the date of enactment of the act, provide to the recipient an additional advance such that the total amount received by the recipient is $10,000. In short, if you got $1,000, you'll get $10,000 when this passes. They're also requiring monthly reporting by the SBA to Congress on the status of the funds and on the status of the advances that they've given out. And appropriations, they're appropriating, instead of the $20 billion they originally allowed for advances, they're increasing that to $100 billion to cover the advances. Basically, it says that that money will be used until it runs out. That's what the act is. It was presented on July 20th. There hasn't been another motion taken up on it. There is a subcommittee meeting. If you look at the list of senators who are on the subcommittee for the Small Business and Entrepreneurship Committee. So I recommend that if your senators are on this subcommittee, that you send emails, call, text, write, whatever, and make sure your voices are known. I want to give a shout out. I'm a small channel, but I do follow Jason over on his channel because he's done a phenomenal job. And he really is passionate about it, and I applaud him for all the hard work he has done. I'm going to link him somewhere, however I do that, to give him a shout out. Thanks, Jason, for sticking up for small businesses. My personal thoughts on the bill: I believe it'll pass. I think that we need to get on both sides of the aisle to support this bill. If you want to learn how, head over to Jason's channel, and he can fill you in on all that aspects of how you can make sure your voices are heard. Until next time, have a great day.